Miss Adriana Swerenchuk.
Yes. Well, good afternoon, FSU. How are you guys doing today? Good, sleepy. It's been a long day. I want to first apologize for coming in late. So I am a fifth grade teacher now. I had to do dismissal before I could get here. So that's why you saw me sneak up on stage. My kids were like, where are you going? I'm like, I have things to do. Okay, important things. But I want to thank Dr. Ozjin for the invitation to speak to you guys. I actually am an alum from Florida State. I got my bachelor's in education, and then now I'm a doctoral student in educational leadership and policy. So I'm a Knoll once again, and it's good to be here. So I thought I'd have a little bit more of a relaxed conversation with you guys about leadership because as she stated, I was selected a year ago now to be the Krista McAuliffe Ambassador for Education, aka the 2024 Florida Teacher of the Year. Now, what's really cool when you get, thank you. What's really cool when you get selected to be Teacher of the Year for the state of Florida is you are actually go on a sabbatical. So for the entire year last year, I was not in the classroom. I was actually spending my time traveling the state of Florida. I traveled over 20,000 miles. I visited 64, or not 64, 42 of the 67 counties in the state of Florida, and I gave over 30 keynotes. But throughout this year, not only visiting schools from VPK all the way up to higher education and adult learners, I also got to interact with legislation and all different facets of education, like where money comes from, stakeholders like parents, and have all these conversations with leaders. And what I found was the more that I traveled, this pattern started to develop. And I thought it'd be perfect to talk about with you guys because it's patterns of leadership. And every exemplar school I went to, or conference, or education, or leader in general, they all had these same four qualities or things about their institutions. And the first one, you might be surprised, is positive present leadership. And that's where I want to start because that's why we're in this room today. And when I was looking at how, like, what made them different from other principals or other leaders, like, why are they so great? Why aren't they just good? And every time, what set them apart was that positivity piece. Now, we have leaders that are great, but sometimes you don't know where you stand with your leader, whether it's if you work at Starbucks or if you are happening to be in school or even your instructors where you're like, I don't know if she likes me. I don't know if I'm doing good in the class. That's still looking to someone as a leader. So being positive. And I feel like the easiest advice or tip I can give you is to smile. It's our greatest asset and it's absolutely free. When you're in a place of leadership, or if you're even in a group discussion and you're the leader in your group, everyone doesn't need to know all the things that are going wrong or going bad. When they're looking for leadership, they're looking for someone that has solution, someone that's going to give them an answer. They're seeking someone to lead. And that is usually the person that's the most positive. Because when you're in this place of positivity, you open up the realm of creativity. You can't be creative and innovative if you're not first positive. If you're not positive, you're usually the negative or naysayer, which there is a time and place for that. I also want to say that too. We need a little bit of everybody. But talking about leadership today, positive and present. I relate this to being a principal in a school. I am not a principal. I have not been a principal. So maybe this conversation will change when I become one. But when you enter a school, you can automatically feel the culture, whether as a student or as a parent or as a teacher. When the principal is positive and present, it changes the culture because it's a ripple effect. So that is my first piece, positive and present. One of the schools I visited actually in Madison County, very adorable county, love it. I talked to the principal, like, what do you do? What do you do? Like, everybody just seems happy. And she's like, I visit every single classroom every single day. Even if it's just walking in, saying hi, present and positive. The second thing of the four that I see everywhere is relationships. And I know you've probably heard that all the time, but relationships are key because as humans, that is how we connect to the world. We're social beings and we have to have these relationships. And as a leader, it is our number one job to cultivate and build these relationships amongst our group. Because the definition of being a leader is taking a group of people towards a shared goal. And if you don't have relationships with those people, it gets really hard. Coming from a teacher, you may know, but it's hard to teach kids that don't like you. So you have to establish that relationship first. And there's so many ways to do that. And if you're positive and present first, you're probably listening. And if you're listening, you're probably in tune to what they want or need. And that brings me to a piece of advice that I heard at a seminar somewhere, but it has stuck with me. And it is anticipate the wants and needs of others. And as you're building this relationship with people, anticipating the wants and needs for others opens a huge realm of from being a good leader to a great leader. The story I like to use, or that I heard it from, I don't know if you may not be familiar with Ron Clark Academy. Yes, no, maybe kind of. All right. Mr. Ron Clark is amazing. And he started a school in Atlanta, Georgia. And he told a story. So I'm telling a story of a story, but he told a story how he had an event for teachers to come for professional development. And after one of the events, it was like a lunch. His crew was cleaning up as they should. And one of the guests that paid to be there started cleaning up too. And he's like, "What are you doing? I mean, just go on." He's like, "No, no, no, I'm going to help. I'm going to help." So much so, like, he couldn't get him to not help. And he's like, "What? Why are you helping?" He's like, "Well, I just see a need. You guys need help cleaning the tables up, and if I help you, it'll be faster." And Mr. Ron Clark was like, "Well, I know, but you're paying to be here." And he's like, I'm just here to help. There's a need. I'm here to fill it." That is a leader. He was just a guest at this event. The third thing that I have seen over and over again out of all my travels all year long is high and clear expectations. Now, I know I'm talking about the realm of education, but it doesn't matter what business you're starting or where you are. Again, if you're in a group work or you're in a classroom, clear, concise expectations of what the goal is. What are we trying to accomplish? The best leaders keep it simple, keep it short, to the point. This is what we're going to do. And remember, if you're positive in presence, we have solutions. The fourth is really the culture. It's kind of encompassing all of those things. Now, back in my world of education, that is creating instruction and an environment where students are able to learn in all different ways, whether it's reading it, hearing it, writing it, doing it. Now, in business, that can translate as well, or in anything you're doing. How are you creating an environment where all of the people that you are leading are able to show their strengths? How are you creating these relationships and these different platforms for you to identify weaknesses so you can then bridge with someone who has a strength towards that goal? Through all of this year, I want to note that before becoming the Chris McAuliffe Ambassador of Education, I was just a teacher. Yes, I did have this trajectory that I want to become a principal one day. But by no means did I think that I would spend an entire year talking to legislative leaders, national teachers of the year, people who make the big decisions when it comes to the world of education. And for so many people to look at me for answers, I want to clarify, I don't have all the answers. I'm just here to share the positive message and the great things that we are doing in education. So as you step into your roles of leadership, and many of you are probably in leadership roles, whether you even know it or not, it's about unlocking that potential, that you guys have to remember that people are looking towards you. In my keynote, I talked about all year long, about being a beacon, that we are light. And in order for us to lead, we have to shine our light bright. And you may not know it, but there are people who are looking to you to guide them towards a better future or to guide them towards those goals. So my question to you is, how will you use that light to guide others? And to recap, positive and present. Focus on those relationships. Have those high but clear expectations. And lastly, cultivate that culture of innovation and fun where everybody can have strengths and everyone can grow. And I'm going to make sure that we have enough time, but I want to thank you guys so much for having me here. And if we have any questions, right? Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Swearingen. Thank you, all of our panelists. We've heard some similarities and we've heard some differences on what makes a great leader, who can, how to develop leadership skills within yourselves, and then how do you develop leadership within teams. So given all this information, who has the first question? Jackson, yes. We like our students too.
Good to see you, Dr. Ritz. All right. So this question specifically for Ms. Farmer, but any of you are welcome to jump in. From what I understand, your message is to believe in yourself and strive for the goals that you want to achieve. However, there are often people who are viewed as overly ambitious in their goals for the amount of life experience that they have. So my question to you is, how do you know when you should settle for less in the short term and what effort you can put in while in that position to reach your long-term goals?
That is an amazing question, and thank you for asking that. So yeah,